I, too, am going to go with the Chiefs to win the football game.
Baby, I'm telling Kyle. You accuse me of that all the time with the Vikings.
I will probably be crying if the 49ers lose the football.
Hedge.
I'm a crier anyways. That's who I am.
That was the last time we did a Picks podcast. The last time we'll be allowed in that sports book. You were drunk off your ass that night and high.
Yes, right. let's be serious.
Happy Chris showed up.
Right.
We did the joint Mega Picks podcast in the sports book.
I think
we had a
they
nice
want
little
us
crowd
back,
there.
though. Don't they want people to be drunk and high, to be careless with the money and do that? Isn't that what they want?
You're not supposed to talk about it, but yeah, that's the idea. Get them drunk, get them high, and then the money flies.
I thought that was a great podcast. Look, and even with all that, I picked the right winner. Even though, my heart was with the Niners, my brain said go with the football pick, and I did that.
Because Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we did the same thing the year before. The Eagles are the better team, but the other team has Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And that's where we go.
Yep.
And look, apparently we did something right because this is the PFTPM Chris Sims Unbuttoned Picks podcast delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL. And I have a great Little Caesars story. 1991.
Yeah.
I was in the process of moving to Pittsburgh, starting my law practice. My parents still lived in my hometown. A Little Caesars opened like right up the hill from where we live.
Yeah.
And I came home one time and my mom had this box of Little Caesars. And I'd say this is pretty damn good.
Wow.
So like every time.
An Italian mom going down the street.
I know.
Yes,
sacrilegious,
right.
But you make exceptions when it's really good. And every time I'd come home after that, she'd have a box of the Little Caesars pizza. So
and I'll never forget them for growing up with pizza, right? That whole thing. Like there's some commercials and things, right, that you just they'll never change the jingle in my head. And every time I see Little Caesars pizza, I still think of that. But great to have them along, And then you're a pizza eater on a pretty regular basis. So find a Little Caesars in your area and start contributing.
One of the things I learned this summer was that in all of my major arteries, there is zero calcification.
Wow.
Zero.
Wow.
So I told my doctor that means I'm having pizza for lunch, pizza for dinner, pizza for breakfast.
Great.
What the hell?
Great.
The pipes are clean. It's coming down the pipe that the pipes are clean, baby.
See, pipes are clean. Yeah. There you go. You're good. Way to go. That's impressive. I don't know if that's good for somebody that's got Crohn's disease issues and all that.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean
bread
pizza.
and cheese and all that.
I don't have.
So. Yeah.
My wife's always like, you should probably pay attention to what you eat when you have like one of your little episodes. It doesn't happen very often.
Okay.
It's not going to keep me from enjoying a good pizza.
All right. Good.
So,
all right. Well, I
go
hope
to Little Caesars. Get some Little Caesars.
Don't let you enjoy your picks
have
this year.
We need to have some.
Not right now. It's early in the morning. I can't eat pizza in the morning.
Oh, I can eat pizza at any.
Well, that's how we know you're Italian
of the day.
Right.
Okay. Last year, for those of you who either don't give a shit or forget, or both, I won. We got to do, that's an updated headshot, but that was like an on the fly. We got to do something better. Look, you got the nice airbrushed, cleaned up. I got something that was shot on somebody's phone.
Yeah, it looks like it's like you're taking a selfie.
Like I'm being interrogated.
Yeah.
Get rid of that. Just put up the PFT logo.
I love that.
That's horrible.
I love that picture.
Horrible.
Right. If you're
Chris's looks like it was painted.
They kept evil Roger Goodell on there for 3 years.
I know.
I told them to change.
But yours looks like they brought in Da Vinci. They brought Da Vinci back from the dead and painted yours.
This looks Da Vinci-ish to me right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Anyway, I won straight up. I won best bets. You won barely against the spread.
Gosh. Oh, hey, I love that.
Barely.
You won barely on best bets by one freaking game. All right, you jerk.
That's all right.
So
I was better on best bets.
Yes, you did.
By one game.
Yeah, I think 2 years in a row you've beat me straight up.
We're not very good on best bets. We should at least be above 500. If these are the games we feel the strongest about, we should be better than 500.
Well, I don't always love that we got to pick three, right? There's certain weeks where I always talk about this to you. I go, I don't want to pick three best bets. I like one. I want one of them. But we do three, and that sometimes can lead to a game or two of like, you're not sure, but we got to pick three, and let's do it that way. But here we go. And I'm pumped to do this. I love doing this. I love this little competition we got during the year.
All right, well,
because you take it personal.
I don't take it personal. I just hate doing it.
Yeah, right. Well, you take it personal. I will come to you on a Sunday at 4:45, and you'll be like, you won the two games at 1 o'clock that we disagreed on. Well, we got two on 4 o'clock. You're keeping tally. You can say all you want. I know you.
We started down the rabbit hole earlier about contractual limitations, and you're only on PFT Live one day a week. I don't think I'm required to do this. I really don't. And there was a time not that long ago when I was a little irritated about the fact that I lost you for 2 days.
Right.
I meant to look at my contract to see if I really am, because I don't think I'm required to do this.
Okay.
I don't think I'm required to do it.
If you want to quit halfway through here, go ahead. That's fine.
All right. Okay. Every week this season, you can play along with us. DraftKings, once again, has set up the free $1,000 Florio and Sims Pick'em Pool. Pick every game against the spread for a chance at a $1,000 prize pool every single week.
Download the DraftKings app, click on the Pools tab, and enter the Florio and Sims free $1,000 Pick'em Pool to make your picks.
And just like we do, you have to enter all of your picks before kickoff of the first game of the week on Thursday night. And this really isn't Thursday Night Football. It's a special edition of Sunday Night Football, I believe. Thursday Night Football starts next week.
Or kickoff.
Even though it's Thursday, whatever it is, it's not Thursday Night Football, but it is Thursday. So here we go. Ravens at the Chiefs. We've talked a lot about the game throughout the course of the week. At least I have. You and I did today. I had the other days with other hosts, but that's a different story, and I'm not bitter. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 47. Who do you have?
Well, interesting matchup, of course, right? You think about the psychology of the game, and you do think, wait, hey, Ravens are going to be mad. They're going to be chomping at the bit. They lost the AFC Championship game at home. They should have this circled on the calendar, right? You know, from as soon as the schedule came out, they can get their payback. So I understand that psychology, but I think it's a different psychology from a team that's won the Super Bowl than years past. We talked about this on the show earlier today, where this is a team in the Chiefs that is highly motivated by being great. They are highly motivated about staying on top of the mountain. They are highly motivated about the three-peat and their chance at history there, and I think that's real. And I think they're motivated in the fact that they know they didn't play great football for the majority of last year, and they can be a lot better team. So, you know, that's where you would think the Ravens have the psychological advantage, but I don't think they really do in this one because the Chiefs are special that way. All right, the Ravens offense, the Ravens in general, I worry about them, and I've told you this. I'm going to err on all teams that played in the preseason. Teams that played in the preseason, if it goes like, ooh, I'm on the fence, I'm going to pick the team that played in the preseason. The Ravens didn't really play much of their players. They got 3 new offensive linemen playing for them. Now, their offensive line played a little in the preseason, which is a good thing, but still, this is going to be their first time in live action, first team offense. Lamar Jackson out there, the Steve Spagnuolo defense. And yes, with the Chiefs having, not only being the Chiefs, but having played 2 preseason games, reinventing themselves on the offense, right? A new defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm leaning Chiefs here. I'm going to go Chiefs 27-20.
Are we already going to start down this path where we have the same score for like 10 games every week? Chiefs 27-20, that's mine as well. I'm influenced by the fact that they blew this game last year at home against the Lions.
That's another thing that adds to their psyche.
And look, the Ravens were the 1 seed last year, but look at what happened in their division. The Steelers' offense was complete and total crap, and they still made it to the playoffs. The Browns didn't have Deshaun Watson for most of the year. They've got a really good team, but they didn't have their best quarterback available. The Bengals didn't have Joe Burrow for a big chunk of the season. So that number 1 seed has a little tiny asterisk next to it.
Right.
Todd Monken, I remember saying last year, they didn't bring back Bill Walsh to run the offense. I mean, what's Todd Monken, frankly, ever done before last year? Last year was okay, but when they needed him most, what happened? Didn't nearly run the ball enough. They might overdo it with the run tonight to overcorrect.
Overcompensation.
We're going to run. We're going to slow the game down. We're going to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline drinking Gatorade, as you like to say. We're going to shorten the game. We're going to have fewer possessions, and we're going to try to outscore them that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it'll be lower scoring than 27-20. We're both right on the 47, but that I don't care about over-under. I care about not being right on the spread, and we're both over the spread by 4 points. Chiefs are favored by 3. We have them winning by 7.
I realize the game could be close. I get that. I do think what plays into the Chiefs' favor a little bit is, hey, new defensive coordinator on the Ravens. The Ravens don't have a great pass rush when they just have to send 4, right? I do think they'll have to maybe blitz a little bit. You're not going to really trick Mahomes with the blitz, and I do think the Chiefs' passing offense is going to be more aggressive throwing the ball down the field. So those are the reasons. Yeah, I definitely favor the Chiefs in this one.
Friday night in Sao Paulo, Brazil. X is banned.
Yeah.
The Eagles and the Packers will be there. We both like the Packers to make it to the Super Bowl, so I assume we both like the Packers to make it to 1-0.
Well, hey, I do. you. I'm going with the Packers here as well. I think two of the most talented teams in the game on both sides of the ball, right? So I don't look at this at all and go, ooh, even though I'd probably say the Eagles roster is better, I think the Packers roster is a top 5 roster in football too. So it's not like, oh, they're outclassed to such a capacity here that I'm worried about them. But a little bit with the Eagles too is there's just a few more moving parts. New DC, new OC, right? The bad taste of you get last year out of your mouth and all of that. You know, the Packers, I think, yeah, okay, they lost the divisional playoff game to the 49ers, but there was more to be positive about and feeling good and puffing your chest out. I do think Jordan Love will certainly be more comfortable early in the year than he was last year. Josh Jacobs, adding him to the run game, right, I think is going to be scary. And I do think with this Packers defense, right, they have the horses up front to not be overpowered by the Eagles' offensive line. They got corners on the edge to do that. They got a lot of depth on the front seven. So I like how they match up there. A lot of times I go, ooh, this team can't play with the Eagles. They're going to steamroll them. It's going to compromise them to have to do things they don't want to do on defense. I don't see that. And I'm going to say the Eagles, you know, have a little rust on them getting used to the new Vic Fangio defense and Kellen Moore offense.
I almost didn't pick the Eagles to make the playoffs, but for the fact that they're in the NFC East, I was like, well, if they don't win it, who will?
Yeah, right.
I might have, if they were in a different division, I might have left them out. I'm concerned that whatever went wrong last year hasn't been fixed. Until I see that it has been, I'm going to be concerned it hasn't been. Yes, there's 2 new coordinators, but the head coach is the same. And the head coach was ultimately responsible for whatever that mess was last year. After they go 10-1, they collapse down the stretch. They get embarrassed by the Buccaneers in the playoffs. So I know a lot of people are just going to say, well, and hey, you say it all the time. They have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL.
Right.
It doesn't matter when it's time to play the games if you're going to find a way to short circuit. Jordan Love is on the cusp of superstardom. I know he's gotten the huge contract now, and maybe teams will catch up to him. I don't know. I mean, he got better as the season went on last year. So
100%.
Once there was film out there about Jordan Love, he came up with a way to defy it and transcend it and have a great finish to the season. I think he's going to be great. Adding Josh Jacobs, as you mentioned, that's not something that the Packers traditionally do. It's usually the defensive side when they go out and spend money on a veteran. They spent the money on Josh Jacobs, upgrades the running game. The passing game, they've got a collection. Yeah, they don't have a number 1 guy.
Yeah.
That's a positive because you're not forced to focus on one guy.
Right.
I think they are going to be really good this year, and they're going to start it off. I got 34-31. I'm just kind of rooting for a high-scoring game in Brazil. And I hope the people in Brazil realize what they're getting. Of all the turds we've sent to London, over the past 17 years.
This one's
crap
legit.
Games, losing teams. They're getting a great game out of the gates that could be, I've got a playoff rematch of the Packers and the Eagles in like the divisional round, but they could cross paths in the NFC Championship.
100%. I think they're these two teams are that type of quality, definitely. I'm going Packers 24-20. I don't think it'll be quite as high scoring, but you never know in these first games of the year. You don't know, and I'm excited for it nonetheless. Being in Brazil and us getting to do the pregame on Friday night and all that's going to be awesome.
From Brazil? Are we going to Brazil?
No, we're not.
No. Am I getting on this plane tonight and it's going to take us to Brazil?
I wish they would. I would love to see you get on that plane in Brazil.
I don't have a passport. I have a problem.
Damn, you don't have a passport?
I don't have a passport.
Wow.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah,
I haven't needed one.
Yeah,
I haven't needed one.
All right.
I don't need to leave the country. This is the greatest country on earth. There's no reason to leave it, although I do want to go to Italy. Okay, Steelers at Falcons, 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. I'm surprised the Falcons are favored by 3.5 points because the Steelers are still the Steelers. And until the Falcons show that they figured out, you got a new coach, new quarterback, weird quarterback vibe with Michael Penix Jr. drafted 8th overall after they paid all that money to Kirk Cousins. They've got great skill position players. They made some late additions to the defense with Matthew Judon via trade, Justin Simmons, who was available in free agency. But, you know, the Steelers think they can resurrect Russell Wilson. The bettors don't believe, at least not for week 1.
Well, I think Atlanta's a better football team. Their roster, I do. But not by so much that I don't think other factors play into this here. One, right, I like the fact that the Steelers are bringing Arthur Smith down there, right? You don't think there's going to be a little motivation from the Steelers and some of the offensive players and Arthur Smith, you know, a little extra game planning, maybe a trick up their sleeve, whatever. I think that's a very real thing there. The rivalry between Raheem Morris and Mike Tomlin, they're best friends. like best buddies, okay? I was in Tampa with them. It was, if Mike Tomlin was in this room, so was Raheem Morris. They're buddies. They hang together in the offseason. So there's a little bit of a rivalry there. Okay, there's that aspect. And, yeah, I'm giving the advantage to the guy that's been there and done that a lot more, and Mike Tomlin, when it comes to that rivalry as we sit right now, even though I think Raheem Morris is going to be damn good with the Falcons. But I'm going to go back to something I said already. You kind of talked about it. It's the Steelers, right? The Steelers, the one thing I'm not worried about is they're going to be ready to hit, tackle, and play football on Sunday afternoon, right? The Atlanta Falcons, I am a little worried about that. When you have also a quarterback that hasn't done jack diddly shit either, and he's coming off an Achilles injury, and he couldn't run that well anyways, and now it's TJ Watt and blitz zones and everything crazy going on around you there. So in totality, I might feel like the Falcons are a better football team, but for his week one as it stands there, and then the fact that the Steelers did play their guys in the preseason a considerable amount on both sides of the ball, I think they're going to be ready for live bullets. And I think the Falcons are going to be a little bit like, oh, wait, and, they might get going in the third quarter, but it's going to be too late. I'm going to take the Steelers with the upset here, 21-17.
I got 23-17, so we almost had the exact same score, but I don't even feel like it's an upset. Like, if I were a gambler, this is the kind of game that I would say, I'll take the 3.5, and you may get an idea that might be one of my best bets as we go later on, because it just feels like the Steelers will win this game, and I won't be surprised if it ends up being maybe even more than a 6-point
you think
margin.
about, like, what would we look at as, like, the great things Atlanta can do, right? They're, okay, Raheem Morris and his defense is pretty creative. All right, hey, Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson, Arthur Smith, like, I don't think anything's going to catch them off guard. And they're pretty like, hey, this is what we do, and we do it well, and we're going to be like that. The other part is, hey, the Falcons O-line, yeah, it's real damn good. But this is a damn good front seven for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I certainly don't think in a week one where their front seven has played football and Atlanta's offensive line hasn't played, again, I'm going advantage Steelers. You can tell it. If a team played in the preseason, I'm giving them a little edge in this week one matchup for sure.
There's just a ton of pressure on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
A ton of pressure. All right, Cardinals at the Bills to start the season. 6.5-point favorites. The Bills are at home. 48 is the over-under. Who do you like in this one?
Well, listen, I'm high on life, but I'm not high on the Bills, okay? I'm not on that right now.
You saying the words, I'm not high, that's not a sentence that comes out of your mouth very often.
Not exactly right. So I look at this and go, the Bills, I have the same worries I always do, right? And I know last year I didn't pick the Bills to go to the playoffs, and even Jason Garrett was getting on me, and I was going, damn, we were down to the last 2 weeks last year.
Like
the Bills were barely in the
it.
playoffs. I mean, so let's not. And there was a chance if they lost, if I remember right, the last game of the year, they could end up not being even in that if the Dolphins, if something shook out right on that last Sunday.
But for that Sean McDermott hit piece from Tyler Dunn's website, golongtd.com.
They were teetering right
They
then.
were done.
Yes.
That was the fuel that turned them around.
Right. So I don't – what did the Bills do that makes me think their team is remarkably better? There's really nothing on the defensive side of the ball that makes you think that. They got new safeties. There's still questions at the corner position. Your best defensive player, Matt Milano's not playing, right? Von Miller got no idea what he's going to be. I respect the Bills. I just don't think there's enough really good, awesome, difference-making players on both sides of the ball. O-line's better. They're tougher. Joe Brady's brought that. I get it. It's still, to me, going to be too much Josh Allen. This is going to be one of my big upsets of the week. I'm going to take the Cardinals on the road here to upset the Buffalo Bills. I think the Cardinals are kind of laying in the weeds. I like the way they play offensive, defensive football. I think Kyler Murray fully unveiled in this offense, full offseason. Marvin Harrison Jr., everything they got, right? And then Gannon, his defense against what I don't look at as to be an overly complicated system with the Buffalo Bills. That's where I kind of see this. I'm going to take an upset here, go 24-23 Cardinals on the road.
Wow, that is gutsy. I've got the Bills winning this one, and I just think that they understand the value of getting out of the gates hot.
Yeah.
And if they lose this one, I usually say week one, throw it out. It doesn't matter unless you lose at home to a division rival. I'll add a little asterisk to that. If you lose at home to a lesser team, regardless of where they come from, that's when you start thinking about panic button, even though you got 16 games left. I think the Bills handle this one. I think Josh Allen is ready to take that team to the next level. I think not having Stephon Diggs there, it's good for him. It's good for them. They should have done this a year ago. I think that created issues that kept the team down and created the funk that they dealt with until after the weird Monday night loss to Denver when they had too many guys on the field for the field goal attempt. So I got the Bills 30-17. You've given me something to think about, though. But I'll still take the Bills 30-17. I just feel like
Arizona's kind of laying in the weeds.
Oh, they are.
Right.
And they like that.
And they
it's
do.
Kind of like the Buccaneers.
Exactly
same idea.
Right. And again, they exceeded expectations last year. I really like the offense and defensive schemes on the Arizona Cardinals. And, of course, I still think Kyler Murray is a damn good football player. So, yeah, I'm going. That was one of those ones that popped up to me as I thought about it the last 10 days a little bit. And
this
went, I could see an upset here.
This is a pick that you're making to will your narrative to come to life about the Bills. That's you're being influenced by your belief that the Bills aren't a playoff team.
Well, maybe a little bit. And I will say, like, I was thinking about this even before I did my playoff predictions and all of that. I was going, this is the one I can look at to go, hey, if there's some upsets on Sunday, I think this is one I'm going to ride with it.
Titans at the Bears, the debut of Caleb Williams going against Will Levis, Mr. Mayonnaise. They are playing at Soldier Field. The Bears are favored by 4 with an over-under of 44.5. What happens for Caleb Williams in his first NFL game?
Hey, I don't know. But one thing is I don't think he's going to be nervous or scared or anything like that. You know, I told you I loved the preseason play. The first game was really good. Splash plays, wow. Second game wasn't as good but had the splash plays. And to me, like I said at the time, the confident thing was when it was a little ugly there in that second preseason game, Caleb Williams was very good with the football. No dicey decisions. No like, oh, I got to jumpstart us and make something crazy happen and then a turnover, a sack fumble, anything like that. The Bears, as you know, first off, I think I'm picking them to go to the playoffs. I think they're a playoff caliber football team. The big question is just, the young quarterback, the young receiver in Odunze, right? But when I think of the Bears defense, I think it's extremely talented. It's really well coached. I think Tennessee is going to be fun to watch this year, and Levis and Calvin Ridley and company are going to make plays. Levis has exceeded my expectations. He's got a big-time arm. But, first year as the starter, it's a first, new head coach, new system, all of that. I'm going to take the Bears at home 24-17.
I got 23-20. Okay. So and we need a sponsor for the needle thread. It's a needle thread. I've got the Titans to cover, Bears to win. I think the Titans are better than people give them credit for, and they will surprise the Bears and make this close. The Bears are already 18 years after the fact. If you want to crown them, crown their ass. It was Denny Green talking about the Bears in 2006, the last time they made it to the Super Bowl. But people are already crowning the Bears, not as a team that's going to make it to the playoffs, although you have them going, but as a team that's going to be
watch out for.
Instantly better. Watch out for the Bears. Right. They could be really good. This is going to be a little surprise for them because it's going to be a close game. It's going to be hard fought. I still think they win. Maybe a late field goal, 23-20, the Bears win. But the Titans remind everyone that they're not just going to lay down. They're not going to disappear. Bengals against the Patriots, a team that has largely disappeared from the radar screen of relevance in the NFL. The Bengals are favored by 8. It's the biggest spread of the week. Over-under's 41. Bengals notoriously slow starters.
Yeah.
Can they beat the Patriots first, and second, can they beat them by more than 8 points?
Yeah, the Bengals played some of their guys this preseason. I think they realized their slow start issues. I think they realize, hey, the second week of the year is the Kansas City Chiefs game, so we better be ready and not trying to still figure out how we're going to play and what we're going to do that way. They're clearly the better team over the Patriots. We know that. I mean, come on. The Patriots are definitely one of the 100% we're building for the future teams out there right now. There's not a bunch of them in the league, but the Patriots are definitely one of them. The Bengals are in the Super Bowl window. Jamar Chase or not, I still like their chances against the Patriots here. One, I just don't look at the Patriots as enough playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, a quarterback that's not a huge playmaker. I think the Bengals defense is going to be on a mission for how bad they were last year, right? They got 2 veteran safeties back there now that are going to be able to get Lou Anarumo's defense all organized and the right thing. And I think the Bengals are on a mission, and Joe Burrow is on a mission anyways. I'm going 31-17 Bengals.
So you've got them winning and covering, obviously. I think that the Jamar Chase hold-in, you don't just snap your fingers and you're ready to go and go out and be dominant. You got T. Higgins in a contract year. You've got Joe Burrow, who's still on the injury report with that wrist from last year. Maybe it's a middle finger to those like me who thought they were hiding the wrist issue. Maybe there's still something there. The Patriots, I think, will be good defensively. They'll be
Yeah.
borderline competent offensively. I think they can cover here. It's a big spread.
Yep.
I've got Bengals 20-13, win by a touchdown, fail to cover by a
defensive
point.
game a little.
And, I just think that it is going to take that Bengals offense a little while to get going, especially because you got a defensive head coach in New England and some pieces left behind by Bill Belichick that are pretty good defensively.
I hear you there.
Texans-Colts rematch of Week 18 from last year. It determined the AFC South Championship. Same field. They're picking up where they left off. Texans favored by 3, over-under of 48.5. Who do you have?
Yeah, well, different feel, though, altogether, right? Because it does feel a little bit like the Colts are back at, I don't want to say square one, but a little bit into, hey, it's basically a rookie quarterback again. And Anthony Richardson. Yeah, he played last year, but he didn't play enough to make me feel all warm and cozy that he's just ready to go on the field and be 25 for 30 for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then, hey, I like the Colts. I think they're going to be better than people realize here. But, again, I think the Texans had one of the best off seasons in football. They got one of the best rosters in football. They got one of the best quarterbacks in football. I think it's still like the Colts going, wait, I know we almost made the playoffs last year, but we're a little bit back into square one and figuring out how we want to play with Anthony Richardson and doing all of that. And I think the Texans got everything you need, let alone, C.J. Stroud is in that combo for 5 best quarterbacks in the game. If there's a guy open, C.J. Stroud ain't going to miss it, all right? That's what I do know. I'm going to say 28-21 here, 28-21 Texans.
All right. I'm taking the upset here. I just think that we have to take the broader perspective into consideration. Anthony Richardson's back. He's on a mission to prove himself. He knows who he's going against right out of the gates. Jonathan Taylor, no holdout this year, healthy this year entering the season. And the Texans are that team that there's just the question. They did it last year under that cloak of anonymity.
Right.
Now, look, week 2, Sunday Night Football against the Bears. Can they check the boxes like they did last year? Can they take care of business? I think they probably can, but this is a division rival out of the gates. It's a game that could go either way. And this is one of those where when we get to Monday and we look at the scores and we look at the highlights, we're going to be like, shit, I thought the Texans were the team. This is one where it can go either way. And let's flip the coin and say the Colts are going to pull this one off. 23-20, they win, and clearly they cover. All right, Jaguars at the Dolphins. Miami's favored by 3.5 with an over-under of 49. We both left the Dolphins out of the playoff mix, and I left the Jaguars out. Did you leave the Jaguars out?
I got the Jaguars in.
Okay.
I did.
Well, do you have the Jaguars winning?
I do have the Jaguars winning. I'm gonna, and again, this is a tall order, but I'm gonna go a little into, I think the Jags realize what they're jumping into. They got a tough early schedule this year, right? I think that's the first thing that I look at and go, okay. Second off, this is a talented football team. The Jaguars got everything, right? The big thing with last year is the offensive line. It was beat up. It was hurt. They had changes. They couldn't run the ball for shit. ETN couldn't do anything in the run game because of that, and it affected their offense. There was no play-action pass attack. There was nothing there. It was really just Trevor Lawrence trying to have to carry the team a little too much, and then as we know, he was banged up and did a little too much and made mistakes at times. I think my big thing with the Dolphins is, one, as we always talk about, right, if it's not a 7-on-7 flag football game and the game gets tough and gritty, do I really trust them? No, I don't really. I don't. I think the Jaguars are going to be the bigger physical team on the football field. The Dolphins got new offensive linemen. That worries me, right? And then on the defensive side of the ball, the Dolphins worry me in the fact that Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb and that group right there, they're not going to be 100% here. I like this Jacksonville team. I really do. I think they got it all here. I think this is going to be a fun one. I'm going to go 34-30 Jaguars.
Wow. I mean, this is a hell of a start for the Jaguars. This is a tough draw.
Yeah.
Hot day. Now, they're in Jacksonville, so they're used to it. But they're going to Miami to start the season. I assume Miami will be wearing white, and the Jaguars are going to have to wear a dark uniform, which is going to be a factor. Miami has traditionally come out of the gates hot.
On fire.
I think they'll get it together.
Right.
Whether or not that addresses their issues. For them, the season starts Thanksgiving when they go to Lambeau Field. Everything before that, I think they'll be good enough. And the Jaguars, something's off there based upon how they finished last year. I'm a big believer in carryover.
Yeah.
And when you struggle down the stretch and you haven't made a lot of dramatic changes, you haven't necessarily fixed what your problem is. And you've got the owner putting pressure on, saying we expect to win now, and that's a message to Doug Peterson, the head coach of the team. I just think this is a tough spot for the Jaguars. Miami wins this one, in my opinion, by the score of 34-27. A lot of points, fun to watch, and it could go either way, but I think Miami pulls it off. All right, Panthers at the Saints. Panthers, one of the worst teams in the NFL last year with 2 wins. Saints kind of in that we don't really know who they are, what they are post Sean Payton several years after the fact. They're favored by 4, over under a 41.5. Who do you have?
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're like still kind of holding on to the Sean Payton team a little bit, but also trying to kind of rebuild on the fly to a degree. I'm not picking the Panthers. I'm sorry. No, I'm not a believer in Bryce Young. I'm not a believer in them as a football team yet. Not that I sit here and say that I think the Saints are some world beaters, but I think they realized their offense wasn't as good as it should be last year. I do expect them to be better and Derek Carr to be a little bit more comfortable in that way. And the Saints, their defense with Dennis Allen and an offense that I look at in Carolina where I go, yeah, it'll be better, but I don't know if it's going to be that much better. And I'd still question the quarterback's ability that, yeah, if the game isn't wide open, is he going to be able to hang in there in tough games and make throws under pressure into tight windows and all of that? No, I don't necessarily think that. I don't think this is a blowout by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm going to pick the Saints 21-17.
You're right on the number. You need to give somebody a point or take one away.
Okay. Am I on the number? Oh, yeah. Damn. All right. So I'll go 20. Oh, let me change that. Sorry, my bad about that. I'll go 23 to 17.
Okay.
Because I just don't like 22, so I'm going to go 23.
I got 28-20 Saints. The Panthers have to prove that they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And
right.
until they do, going into a place like the Superdome to face a Saints team that is good enough to beat one of the worst teams in football, until the Panthers show that they're not one of the worst teams in football, this is an easy one. I might be wrong, but it's an easy one. I don't spend a lot of mental power trying to figure this out. All right, next. Viking.
The Sims and Florio board.
Save the best for last for the 1 o'clock window. Vikings are favored by 2.
I mean,
and it's the big 100th season celebration. They got the big ugly logo in the middle of the field. They got the big ugly uniforms.
Shut up.
The logo looks better than the uniforms. The uniforms look like shit.
I love the unis.
Sure
I think they're great. Well, I mean, come on. It's the 20s and 30s. That's what color the pants were. The helmet's cool. Are we wearing those this week? I don't think we're wearing them this week.
Yeah.
Right? The G-Men are wearing them this week?
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them. I can't wait to see them.
Are we wearing them this week?
Yeah, that's right.
Are
we wearing them this
disgusting.
week? Yep, that's right.
Okay.
The G-Men, baby.
Who do you got?
Well, you go first there, Minnesota Vikings guy.
Well, I don't think the Vikings are going to win many games this year, but I think this is one that they can win. No Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones feeling the ambivalence that the team has.
Right.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors could be great, but I don't envision like 2 touchdowns and 150 yards out of gates. I don't think Brian Flores is going to dare him to do that. I think back to when Randy Moss got started and Tony Dungy, then with the Buccaneers, was like, we got to let him prove that he's worthy of double coverage, and he torched them that day. I think the Vikings will be on guard for Malik Neighbors because, as you and I both heard, and the Vikings are trying to get Malik Neighbors. They know what Malik Neighbors is.
Right.
They'll try to neutralize him as best they can. I think the Vikings pull this off 26-23. Sam Darnold back at MetLife Stadium, his best chance to turn his career around with an offensive line that's competent, with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, with Aaron Jones, who's healthy. And when he's healthy, we know he's very good. I don't know how long he's going to be healthy. The defense is good enough. I think the Vikings can pull this one off. These are 2 of the teams that are going to be at or near the bottom when it's all said and done, I think. But one of them's got to win week 1, and I think it's the Vikings.
I got more faith in your Vikings than you do. I do. I think Sam Darnold's going to exceed expectations. I'm expecting that.
Well, expectations are low.
Well, they're low, but I think they're going to be like more of, wow, Sam Darnold is pretty damn good. So maybe I'm going to say he's going to far exceed expectations. That's what I'm saying here. I think the Giants are going to be better, but am I going to sit here and pick them in week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings? I don't think I can do that. I got to see a little bit more from the New York Giants and Daniel Jones, and I want to see the new defense under Shane Bowen and what that looks like. So those things worry me, right? I am fascinated by Flores versus Daboll. That's going to be fun. These are 2 guys that kind of know each other, right? But I do think the Vikings had a pretty good offseason. I think Sam Darnold is going to be damn good in this offense under Kevin O'Connell, okay? And I just think you guys got a little bit more of a talented team altogether. The Giants have a good D-line, but you guys, the Vikings, got one of the best pass-protecting O-lines in football. I don't think they're going to have an advantage there. I'm going to go 20-17 Vikings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. I wanted to. Wow. I was like, should I make the Giants just so we have fun?
So are you going to give me shit all day long in the viewing room if the Giants
It'll be one
are
of those, now, I definitely, yes.
You get it both ways.
Well, yeah, it's going to be great. So if I lose, I just go, okay, we're both losing, and I can still talk up the Giants. So it'll be good that way.
We'll take a break. When we're back, the late Sunday afternoon games, including Jim Harbaugh's debut with the Chargers and Tom Brady, if you haven't heard. He makes his broadcasting debut in Cleveland. More PFTPM and Chris Sims Unbuttoned right after this. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets instantly, plus get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Download the app and use promo code PFTLive when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Please bet responsibly. Sunday late games. Raiders-Chargers. The last time these two teams played, the Raiders kicked the crap out of the Chargers, got everybody fired. Now, here's Jim Harbaugh. Got his coaching career started with the Raiders 20-plus years ago. I got a little breakfast that wants to not be breakfast anymore. Raiders-Chargers, Harbaugh and company favored by 3. Lowest over-under the week at 40. Does Harbaugh, who had a great impact on the 49ers 13 years ago, does he get the Chargers to 1-0?
I'm going with it, yes. I look at it, I'd expect the defense to struggle. Right, I don't think that the offense of the Raiders, right? You can, offensive line, the running backs new, the quarterbacks new, all of that. Do I expect that to be special or hitting on all cylinders? No, I don't. And I will say, I kind of feel the same way about the Chargers. One, right, there's not a ton of talent. There's unproven commodities a little bit at the receiver position, definitely. Running back position's a little different this year for the Chargers. Right? And it's Jim Harbaugh, which he's not looking to light up the scoreboard. Like, Jim Harbaugh is like one of the coaches, only one of the few coaches in football that's like, I'll take 19-16 every week. I don't give a damn, right? I'll play that style of football. I think this is what this will be. It'll be ugly, right? Harbaugh is just going to instill physicality and toughness to his football team, and he's not going to worry about pizzazz. So I totally expect it to be a low-scoring football game. I'm going to go 19-17 Chargers.
I've got – so you have the Raiders covering this one. You're threading the needle. I got 24-20 Chargers, and maybe I think that's a little more high-scoring than it will be. I think the Chargers will be content to run the ball. They've added some running backs, but they still have Justin Herbert, and I think at some level Jim Harbaugh wants to let him go out and do Justin Herbert things. For what they're paying him, you got to use him at some point. All right, Broncos at Seahawks. Started the season 2 years ago. Who would have dreamed Broncos-Seahawks 2 years later would be not Russell Wilson at quarterback for Denver, but rookie Bo Nix taking on Geno Smith, who's entering year 3 as the starter. The Seahawks are favored by 6 with an over-under of 41.5. Who do you have?
I'm a little surprised by the 6-point spread. I'm not going to lie. I think the Seahawks are probably a more talented football team than the Broncos, but by 6 points, I don't know if I think that. And then the Seahawks with, new coaches on both sides of the football, right? That's, to me, where that's a little too rich, really. I think that's probably at 6 because of one reason. It's a rookie quarterback going on the road up there, and I want to go, I don't think this is a rookie quarterback that's going to be too affected by that, let alone he's got a coach that I think will know how to manage the game a little bit and help him out early on to get used to the crowd noise and everything that goes along with it. Right, so that's where I don't see 6 points in the future here. That's what I think my biggest thing is. Now, I am excited for Mike McDonald. Right, that defense should be better. They do got some dudes. Byron Murphy should help them out. Do they have enough true pass rushers on the edge? I mean, we can question all of that stuff. I'm going to go with the Seahawks, but this is one where I'm not going to lie. I thought about the upset here. I do, and I'm definitely not going by 6 points. I'm going to go 23-20 Seahawks at home, just barely pulling this one off. I think Sean Payton's going to try his damnedest to make a statement here in week 1 of his second year.
I got 27-24, and it would be a great opportunity for the Broncos to kind of surprise everyone and set the tone with Bo Nix as a rookie, showing everyone that Peyton got it right. Kind of laid in the weeds and waited for the picks to shake out the way they did. But it's too much to ask for week 1. It is going to be loud. It is going to be different. And I think the Seahawks we'll have enough left over from last year. You bring in the new coach. It's a little kick in the pants. I think we're going to see more running from them. I think they win the game 27-24. All right. Cowboys at the Browns.
Yeah.
The Browns favored by 2.5 points in Cleveland with an over-under of 41 to start the season. I'm going to go first because I don't want to be accused of copying your pick because I'm changing mine.
Okay.
I was going to go with the Browns, and I don't want to let my narratives and potential takes and biases affect the analysis of this game. I think the Cowboys have completely screwed up their team this offseason. They have waited too long to pay CeeDee Lamb. They've waited too long to pay Dak Prescott, something they haven't done yet. Michael Parsons should have a new contract. They should have had other players. They should be – but I don't believe that Deshaun Watson is going to be the guy he was 4 years ago until he does it. And, you know, he can be mad and he can be salty and he can be pissy about it, but the reality is it's on him. He's the reason why he hasn't been the guy that he was for 4 years.
Right.
Until he is, I can't, in a game like this, I can't say Browns show up and win. I think it's a tough spot for them. It's a big game. It's a big spot. The Cowboys relish that. I think the Cowboys win. I'm going to go Dallas 28-24 over Cleveland.
This is a game that I probably have been more on the fence. I have two games that I felt like I was really on the fence. One of them's coming up, and it's our Monday night game, so just in full transparency. This is one.
Well, you were going to give us a
transparency.
Transparency theory.
But I've gone – one, your point about Deshaun Watson is definitely the number one thing that scares me. 100%. It worries me a little bit. And then it's, hey, Dak Prescott, I don't feel that way. And Dak Prescott, I feel like, oh, hey, I know Cleveland does a lot of blitzes and everything like that. And yes, okay, so but he's not going to be fooled by it. And again, CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks are not bad. As much as Cleveland plays man-to-man, they should have a few opportunities. I don't know what it is, though, but between the CeeDee Lamb stuff, the Dak Prescott stuff, the fact that the Cowboys didn't play anybody really and all that, it's on the road in Cleveland. I think it's a special defense in Cleveland.
Yes.
Right? I also, even though I'm very worried about Deshaun Watson, I think their offensive line is still good enough for them to run the ball effectively on a Dallas defense that we know has trouble stopping the run, and here they are signing D tackles late in training camp again. Why? Because they're worried about their ability to stop the run. I'm going to go Cleveland in an ugly one. All right, I'm going to take them here. I'm going to take them 20-17. I think there's going to be a lot of defense, turnovers, ugly play, you know, and they squeeze it out just in the end.
I'm surprised. I know. Not that I'm changed my mind because I thought you were picking the Cowboys, but I'm surprised because this one goes either way. I just think that early in the season, enough for the Cowboys, but at some point the wheels come off. Commanders, Buccaneers, 3.5-point favorite is Tampa Bay. Over-under of 43.5. Who do you have?
Well, I like the Bucs here. You say it all the time. The Bucs are flying under the radar. They're talented. They got a very good offensive line. I think that's the first thing I look at. I know Washington's still got the two Bama boys in the middle, and they're going to be something to deal with. But it's the Dan Quinn defense. How does that look? All those things. But I think, again, with this offensive line in Tampa Bay, I don't care about Dan Quinn's defense and some of the guys he brought over from Dallas. I think they're going to be able to protect Baker Mayfield, to throw the ball down the field. I don't think the Commanders are all that good in the secondary, right? I don't think the Commanders are all that good on the offensive line either. I think it'll have to be a little too much Jaden Daniels. And because of that, I don't like that either. Todd Bowles, his defense, rookie quarterback, having to deal with that. So, yes, I'm riding with Tampa Bay here. I'm going to go 27-21. Bucks.
I got 27-19. I just picked 19 because I'm sick. I got 27-20.
I know. Sometimes I do that too. Sometimes I have 17 and 20 and so many teams that are losing. I'm like, okay, I got to change it up, and I just write a rando in there.
There's a pick behind the curtain. We just pull these numbers. What a shock, out of our asses or thin air or both. All right, I've got the Bucks 27-19. We both believe in them, and I really believe in them this year. As you know, I have them making it to the NFC Championship. Let's take a break. When we return, primetime games, including Matthew Stafford back in Detroit and Aaron Rodgers back in the Bay Area. More PFTPM and Chris Sims Unbuttoned right after this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Man, I like that. That's a good deal. Download the app and use promo code UNBUTTONED when you signed up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
All right.
All right, you.
Sunday Night Football.
What you doing?
Rematch. Super wild card round.
Yep.
Rams and Lions.
Super
Close game.
Yes,
Close
it
game.
was. Yes, it
Very
was.
close. First
Right.
postseason win for the Lions in forever. 3.5-point favorite is Detroit. Over under a 50.5. That's the highest of the week. Does Matthew Stafford, they booed his family last time. He's apparently not happy about that.
Yeah, well, I get that. I get that. You can boo him, but when you start to boo the family, I'm sure he did take that a little personal.
Well, what's he going to do about it?
But I also say, like, don't bring your family on the field either in that situation. Like, you're just setting it up for disaster, okay? I do think, hey, I don't like that the Rams don't play their players in the preseason, but neither do the Lions, so that ends that. Right, I do think the Rams are one of those teams with McVay and Stafford that are like, we got something for them this time around. but it's still the Lions. It's at home. It's Super Bowl aspirations. That place is going to be crazy. There's no Aaron Donald. It's a new defensive coordinator in Chris Shula, and Raheem Morris is not there anymore. This is one of the best, if not the best, O-line in football. So that's what I worry about. That's where it really starts. I just don't know if the Rams have enough dudes up front in their front seven to slow down the Lions from running at them to then allow them to open up the passing game and do that. And I think this is going to be a big year for Jameson Williams on the Detroit offensive side of the ball. And I think Detroit's defense is going to be better than last year. So I like Detroit. In fact, I like Detroit more comfortably in this one than I did in the playoff game last year. I'm going to take the Lions 30-20 at home.
I got 30-24, and it may come down to like an overtime touchdown. Who knows? We can only hope we get an overtime game Week 1 Sunday Night Football.
I hope we don't.
The Lions.
Because we got to get up early the next day and do a show.
The Lions have high expectations.
Yeah.
They've never been this high.
Right.
The Rams, I just worry about injuries. They had guys banged up in the preseason. And like you said, change out defensive coordinator. Is there going to be continuity? Is the defense going to be – Aaron Donald's gone.
Right.
I mean, there's big differences in this Rams team, so I like the Lions in that one. All right, let's pivot to the one that you've been struggling with. Your San Francisco 49ers versus your quarterback. Aaron Rodgers back 52 weeks to the day after he had the Achilles tear 4 snaps into the season. The 49ers are favored by 4.5. They've had all that turmoil with Brandon Ayuk hold in, Trent Williams hold out. That's all resolved now. 43.5 over under. Do the 49ers get to 1-0?
The 49ers are at home. Do I think the 49ers are better? Yes, right? But not like so much more. I mean, in fact, I'm not sure by the end of the year we might not be going, hey, the Jets are better or whatever. I mean, it's that close. The Jets roster is loaded throughout. Now, it is going to be about the injuries and health. The offensive line, the older guys there. Rodgers, can they stay healthy? The defense, you got no questions about. You said it, right? The 49ers, I got questions. I do. You know, I mean, yes, Trent Williams, they're having their first practice yesterday on a Wednesday as the first time the whole year with their first team offense. And you're getting ready to play one of the best defenses in football, let alone not only one of the best defenses in football, Robert Saleh in a you're fired year. Like, you're fired if you don't go to the playoffs. They're desperate. Anybody you talk to with the Jets, there is a fire under Robert Saleh and the Jets organization. This is their chance to make the splash and go, we're here, everybody, get ready. And Saleh, of course, used to coach for the 49ers and do all of that. So there's so much there. Having said that, I still think I'm going to take the 49ers, but the 4.5 points is too much for me there. That's where I just can't get behind. I don't think the 49ers will be at their best, but because of the culture they have and who they are as a team and being at home and the fact that Rodgers hasn't played and done any of that, I'm going to take San Francisco in a close football game, 21-17 Niners.
I got 20-17, and I believe everything you believe about it. For Robert Saleh, the pressure is on. For Aaron Rodgers, the pressure is on. Aaron Rodgers has historically struggled more often than not with the 49ers.
Yes.
I think they will keep it close, though, and I think it will be very exciting. Think about last year. They lost Rodgers and still somehow won the game. This year they'll have Rodgers, but ultimately lose, but they should feel good about it as they go into this stretch of 3 games between the 9th and the 19th, and they have the Titans on the road next week. The goal is going to be don't get discouraged if you lose this one. If it's close, feel good about it, and use that as fuel to get to 2-1 by 2 Thursdays from today.
Right.
That's the key, because I think they can be good, and that's going to be the challenge for Saleh. Find the silver lining in a close loss, and I think, as you do, that's what's going to happen. The Jets will play well, but come up just a little short, as anybody would week 1, Monday night in San Francisco.
That's right.
We take a break. When we return, our best bets plus our patent-pending Folsom Prison Blues pick of the week. Next, PFTPM, Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Welcome back to the PFTPM Chris Sims Unbuttoned Picks podcast, delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Pizza.
I knew you were going to say it at some point. I was giving you space to do it. 4 disagreements straight up your ass. 7 disagreements against the spread. Best bets time. We each do 3. What do you have?
I'm going tonight. I feel strongly about
it. I hate
it.
when you do.
Yeah, we're back. Yeah, eat it, okay? I'm going tonight. I like it. I love getting out on that 1-0 lead on you, so the pressure's on early. I'm going with the Chiefs for all the reasons you heard. I just believe in them. I think they're going to be ready. I know what's coming to town. They played in the preseason. I think they're a team on the mission. I got to see the Ravens and the Derrick Henry and the new O-line with the new D coordinator first before I'm going to take them over the Chiefs in this.
When I give Lamar Jackson his bouquet tonight, I'm going to say, hey, Lamar, you need to know that not only does Chris Sims not believe in you, he made you failing by 3 or more points one of his best bets of the week. I'm going to go to Sunday, Pittsburgh, Falcons. Anytime I look at this and say the better team for this game is getting points, that's a best bet.
Yes.
Give me the Steelers.
Right. I mean, our only question is really what? Russell Wilson and the pass game, which is legitimate. I get it. But I'm joining you in that one. I'm going to. For my second best bet, I'm taking the Steelers as well. It just pops off to me. The Steelers, I do think, will be ready for this game. And the Falcons, with all the things we mentioned, new coach, and new offensive coordinator, Kirk Cousins hasn't played, all that stuff. I think they need to get a game or 2 under their belt first.
I'll go to the Superdome, site of where the season will end.
Wow.
The Panthers getting 4.
Wow.
The Panthers. I mean, I'm sorry, throw a drink on me for saying it, but the Panthers, come on.
Well, you're acting like the Saints are some juggernaut over here.
But until the Panthers do jack diddly shit, I'm not going to believe.
Okay.
So prove me wrong, Dave Canales. Prove me wrong, Bryce Young. Prove me wrong, David Tepper. I don't believe. 4 is too few. I think the Saints, at least by a touchdown, win that game.
Okay, all right. I hope David Tepper throws a drink on you later on today, or maybe I'll do it for him. Let's go Panthers. Here we go. All right, my last one is I'm going the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
The 6.5 is just too much. Even if they don't win the game, which I got them winning, I think they lose a tight one. I think they're going to be ready to roll here and keep things very interesting. Yes, I don't like that 6.5 of the Bills.
Your boy Blue is very disappointed.
I know.
Very disappointed. I'll go Friday night. Since you're going to go Thursday night, screw it. I'll go Friday night with the Packers getting 2 against the Eagles. I just feel like the Eagles are still in disarray and the Packers are ready to go next level and maybe beyond. All right, the Folsom Prison Blues pick. That is the one pick straight up.
If you're dead in the gutter.
If we're dying in the gutter. Not dead. If you're dead, it's too late. If you're dying in the gutter and you got 1 game left to pick before you expire for good, who is it this week?
Well, I'm taking the Bengals over the Patriots, right? That's my game of the week there. How could I'm definitely doing that.
I'm going to go Saints.
Okay. You're going to ride that. Okay.
I'm going to ride that.
Damn, you might be. I hope you're dead in the gutter in more ways than one.
Panthers, let's go. Prove me wrong, Panthers. See you next time.
See you guys. Be good. Root for me. The hell with Florio. Yo, homies, thanks for watching. Yeah, it's time. The NFL season is here on Chris Sims Unbuttoned.
You can hit subscribe to get all the weekly picks, plus our Sunday recaps as the games are happening.
Oh, you know it. Nobody does that better than us. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you next time on Unbuttoned.